All right, ladies and gentlemen, remember where we stopped yesterday, right? We were talking about ethics. Ethics, right? You know what is ethics? Who doesn't know what is ethics? Right. Based on ethics, you can be able to know, to determine, or to discern between what is right and what is wrong. Right. So, in project or in a project environment, let me put it like that, we got certain things that are certain aspects of ethics in relation to property and personal rights that we need to discuss about, of which we've discussed about some of it yesterday. Right. In terms of personal rights, we talk about equality by virtue of the Constitution. We are all equal before the law, and no one is uh, can be classified as above the law. So there we talk about no unfair discrimination against anyone. Nobody is better than any other person. We're all the same and we should all be treated equally, right? Nobody deserves better treatment than you cannot say one person deserve or group of persons deserve better treatment than others. We are all the same, right? So the state and individuals, as we have here, all have to treat everyone the same, right? That is that as it relates to equality. Then we talk about human dignity when we talk about labor relation. No, I don't need to be repeating this thing because I recorded it. It's in the channel, right? You can download it. Not necessarily download, you can watch it. Right. Labor relations, everyone has the right to join a labor union. Have you ever been a member of a labor union before? Labor union. How many of you have been part of a labor union? You got the right to join, right? It's not a problem. But if you were in a country like China, you don't talk about labor union there. They fire you, right? So South Africa is a free country, and you got good stringent labor regulations or labor laws. So you are free to join a union. You are free to participate in a strike, but it must be a legal strike, right? Don't go to the street and start torturing for no reason. It should be legal. That is what we are talking about. So, yeah. So, in terms of property, personal right in relation to property, you got the right to own a property, right? That is why when you got money, you can buy and own a property. There is no problem. You are no denial of it, right? So, in relation to that, as we have here, we said property in this sense is not limited to land, but include anything a person owns. When we are talking about property, it's not only land, right? For example, that is your property, your cell phone, right? This is your bag, it's your property. You got the right to own anything. You got the right to buy and own it, as long as you can be able to afford it, right? It's a free country. So no one may deprive of property except in terms of law of general applications. No one may permit arbitrary deprivation. Nobody can deprive it, right? Unlike those days where there was this system of apartheid, right? Segregation. You are not allowed to be in a certain area. You can only be in a certain area. But these days it's not like that again. So that deprivation is removed. So if you got money, you can go and buy a mansion in Sea Point. Nobody will deprive you. But those days it wasn't like that. Right? Your parents they must have tell you about all these things that we're talking about here. They must have informed you. Right? No law may permit deprivation. We talk about that. You cannot take away property from any person, right? You cannot confiscate. To take property away from someone, you can use this language, confiscation. Even government cannot confiscate any property from you unless you committed an offense and you have been found liable, you have been found guilty before they can do that. If you steal government money, and once the government found out that you stole it, They can follow, they must follow the due process. Once the due process has been followed and you be found liable, then they can take that property from you, sell it to pay what you owe or what you stole. Only on that condition and certain other legal conditions that one can be able to forfeit one's property to somebody or to the institution. Right. So by stating what the rights are of the individual, the Constitution is stating what ethical behavior is. Because all these rights we are talking about, where does we derived this right from? It's from the Constitution. It's written in the Constitution, right? That is why you are enjoying what you are enjoying today. The freedom you are enjoying is entrenched in the Constitution. It's a right that nobody can deny you of. Do you understand what I mean? So if the rights of a person and their property are respected, then the behavior being displayed is ethical. We are talking terms now of ethical behavior, good behavior, right? You need to know how to behave well. You need to be able to discern between good behavior and bad behavior. Now, let's talk about the code of conduct. Part of what we are going to learn today is a code of conduct, which is the relationship between ethics and code of conduct specifically. Right? We are in this context trying to differentiate or distinguish between the code of conduct, or rather the relationship between ethics and code of conduct. A code of conduct is a set of rules which outlines the responsibility, expected behavior, or practice of an organization or individual. You got code of conduct at West Coast College here, right? Student code of conduct. You got it. Have you seen a copy of it? You know what I mean? Code of conduct. Yes. Student, you are a student code of conduct. What does it entail? These are what it entails. Your responsibility as a student, right? You need to attend classes. You need to make sure that you write exams for you to be able to have your ICAS mark, right? What you need to do, you don't need to fight schools. You don't need to bring in whatever criminal stuff that are not allowed, into the campus. Then the expected behavior or practices of you as a student in the campus, as a student of West Coast College in the campus. Those are the things that are in your code of conduct. But the code of conduct of a workplace are exactly more or less the same thing, but it's for pertaining to the organization. What the type of responsibility that are expected of you, the type of behavior expected of you, as well as practices in that organization. Right. Then you have ethics. Here we've conceptualized what code of conduct means. Ethics are a set of principle which people use to decide what is right and what is wrong. In most cases, ethics can be unwritten, right? But you need to have that intuition, that value for you to be able to discern, right, between what is right and what is wrong. When you look at ethics, ethics can be argued to be something relative. What do I mean by relativity? Right. What is ethical in one particular area or to certain type of people based on their culture, their moral orientation, and whatever can be unethical in another to other people. I don't know whether you understand what I'm trying to say. Because ethics is mostly aligned with culture, cultural practices, cultural values. Right? There are certain areas, certain things that they've considered to be unethical. But when you go to a certain area, you find it that it's highly unethical, based on their values, based on the norms and practices in that area. You understand what I mean? For example, in some areas, You consider it to be unethical to get married to your cousin. In Kosa, do you get married to your cousin? Eh? Cousin. Right, I'm talking to you. Do you get married to your cousin? Ah, in your culture, you do that. Do you understand the question that I asked just now? Okay. That come here, come and sit here. You far away. You know. Okay. But in some area in Indian culture, they do marry to their first cousin. I think in Jewish culture as well. It's not a problem for them. Do you understand? So in your own case, you consider it to be unethical, but theirs is ethical. Does it make sense to you? Right. That is what I'm talking about. It depends on your values.